evening. This is Dr. Carlos Celes, tonight with you from San Juan, Puerto Rico, with Dr. Shawn Dill. Shawn, where are you located tonight?
Tonight, I am in Indianapolis, Indiana.
Fantastic. And Dr. Shawn Dill is a graduate. I had the pleasure to interview him in Spanish for the Keto Talks competition. Tonight is a different subject that brings us to this interview. And Shawn is a graduate from Logan University. After finishing chiropractic school in Logan, he went to practice in Costa Rica for 8 years, where not only he was a very successful chiropractor, but is the person that developed the chiropractic law for that country. Later, he came back to the United States, and today he has a franchise with how many offices, Shawn?
16 offices
16
tonight.
offices, and they're called
the Specific Chiropractic Centers.
Specific Chiropractic Centers. Where are these offices mostly located?
All across the United States. We have everything from Boston to Hawaii. 2 offices actually in Hawaii. So there's some offices in Texas, Indiana, Wisconsin, California. So they're kind of spread out.
Excellent. I'm curious. This curiosity comes to my mind. This is not our subject tonight, but it comes to my mind, and I'm sure a lot of the people who listen to us will have the same curiosity. What was the trigger? What happened in your professional career that gave you that push or that leap into franchising your services?
Well, you know, I serve on various boards, one of which is the IFCO. I highly encourage everybody to support an international or national organization. And for my preference, I want to strongly encourage people to support the IFCO. One of the things about the IFCO is that the mantra there is every man, woman, and child checked for vertebral subluxation and adjusted when necessary since birth. And, you know, there's approximately 7 billion plus people on the planet. And I'm extremely passionate about chiropractic and seeing chiropractic care delivered to every man, woman, and child. But the problem is the 7 billion people on the planet, I realized I wasn't going to be able to see them all myself. I have a finite amount of time that I could deliver the service, a finite amount of people that I could reach. And so there was a point in my career in Costa Rica where I began to understand scaling. Scaling is creating a reproducible business model and then leveraging. So leverage would be a second concept, and then leveraging that scalable business model to bring it to as many people as possible. And so we've been working on that. While in concept probably sounds pretty easy, it's not the easiest thing to do. But that's really the passion. The crossroads was when I had that realization that either I was going to just be a single practitioner and make my mark on the world, or if I could scale, then I could really bring this out and touch a lot more people.
Fantastic. Fantastic. So being in Costa Rica, you come back to the States with this vision.
It actually happens in Costa Rica. In Costa Rica had one office. We were extremely busy. In Costa Rica, my office was seeing 200 patient visits a day. Wow. I worked 5.5 days a week. And a lot of people always ask me, like, wow, what's your favorite thing about Costa Rica? What's the best beach? What's the best place to go? In reality, I don't know, because I was there working, right? Wow. It might be the same thing for you, right? I notice you like to come to the United States to vacation.
Sure.
And everybody here would love to go to Puerto Rico to vacation. And it was the same way. People come to Costa Rica to vacation, but not if you live there. You know, so I was working really, really hard, and I had that realization. And so we built out in Costa Rica. First of all, I was in my 20s, and I had that realization. And when I left Costa Rica, we had 6 offices. There was a time, I think that the operation ran best when it was 4 offices, and we had 6 DCs, and we actually had 2 medical doctors that worked for us. Wow. That did our initial exams and our re-exams. And that was sort of at the peak of it. So this was something that I was really into very early on in my career.
Fantastic. So I'd love to, and we can coordinate this outside of this interview. I'd love to go in depth in an interview about that.
Sure.
I think I've always been curious. You know, I've been in business for 25 years. We've handled a dozen or plus associates in our office, and it was now 25 years that we were able to expand into a second clinic. In Puerto Rico, there's a big challenge with finding associates. A lot of Puerto Ricans go to the United States to study chiropractic. Very few come back. And that's a huge challenge that we've had. But I know there's a lot of headspace in that, and I'd love to ask you the questions that I have online so that other people can learn about that.
Absolutely, my pleasure.
Thank you. So going to what brings us here tonight, it is the Berkshire Experience, which is going to be held in Puerto Rico the 20th, 21st, and 22nd of February of the year. It begins to be my favorite year because it has 2020. So it's a year with a clear vision. I love it. I just noticed that today and looking at the numbers, and I just love that. And what a better way to begin the year with such an event like the Berkshire, especially in the island of Puerto Rico, where weather will be fantastic. February is probably one of the most beautiful times of the year to come to Puerto Rico. Cool breeze, warm water, clear skies. The vegetation is just spectacularly beautiful. It's simply a great time to come to Puerto Rico. Tell me about the Berkshire event. I'm sure you've been to the Berkshire before. I would like to know a little bit about your experience at Berkshire in the past.
Yeah, but the Berkshire Philosophy event is how it started. It used to be called the Berkshire Philosophy event. Then it became the Berkshire's Experience. And now I'm not sure because it's not even in the Berkshires anymore. It's in Puerto Rico. But this event is unlike any other event that you could attend. And, you know, here's the thing. Let's be super honest, right? There's a lot of chiropractic events that one could go to. And let's be super honest. At most of those events, you're going to see the same speakers, right? So it's not really about the speakers in our profession because there's a clique of speakers and they speak at all the same events. You're hard pressed to see an event that doesn't have the same, recycled speakers, myself included, right? So, I mean, I get invites to be at these various events. It's really hard to find new speakers. But here's the thing about Berkshire's that's very unique and different than any of the other events that's going on is that the Berkshire's Experience is not about the speakers. It's more about the attendees, the registrants, the delegates, however you want to look at it. It's about the community. Now, Dr. Scott Garber has done a phenomenal job of building an event that's about its people, that is about the community. And so tonight, this really is not an effort to promote a seminar so much as it is an invitation. If you're in chiropractic and you're sort of thinking, I feel disconnected. And look, to practice chiropractic, I always say it's a hard thing. You feel like you're on an island, mostly because most of your day you're kind of swimming upstream. We're talking about concepts that not everybody is necessarily embracing. Maybe your patients or your practice members do, but you realize that the rest of the world isn't necessarily in alignment with what we do. That can be challenging. It's not like you can just come home and, right now we're in the holidays, right? I know a lot of people that I work with in the chiropractic space that don't like the holidays. Why? Because then they're around their family and their family might not necessarily agree philosophically with what you do. And then there's difficult discussions. You can feel alone. Now, the Berkshire Experience is an invitation for you to plug in with people like you, people like me, people like Scott Garber, and Danny Knowles, and Dan Bay, and Nick Werner, people that maybe you haven't even heard of. But what I'm telling you today are people who hold the same ideals and principles and value them like you do. And the comfort that arises in that, the ability to have a conversation and be understood, you can't even put a price tag on that. And so here's the great thing about the Berkshire's experience. Some seminars start at 8 in the morning, and there's 5,422 speakers, all of whom speak for about 8.6 seconds. The thing runs massively behind. It gets done at 12 o'clock at night. You're so exhausted. The Berkshire's is not like that. See, the Berkshire's has a few speakers and a lot of opportunity to network. I'll give you an example. At the Berkshire's, the entire group, speakers and registrants and delegates, eat together. They break bread together. They communicate. There's not the speakers over here and the other people over there. It's one giant group. It's like a big mastermind. And so today, this is an invitation not to come hear me speak or hear any of the speakers speak, not to come to a seminar, but to join the community, to be a part of something where you're going to first of all be accepted, but you're also going to get validation. You're going to get new ideas. You're going to get accountability. That's what the true value of what Scott has created. And I think this is also great too, because look, frankly, a lot of people might say, I don't know who Scott Garber is. And then they might be looking at the speaker list and recognize some of the names there. They might even say, I don't recognize all of the speakers there. But you have great ones. Amy Spolstra, phenomenal speaker. But it's not about Scott. And that's what see, the very fact that you're thinking like, I don't know if I know who Scott Garber is. That's the point. Because you should just know who you are. And it's about recognizing whether or not there's a void right now. And, as we close the year out, if there's a void that can be filled, and by filling that void, if we can help to take you to the next level by, instilling confidence, instilling conviction, reassuring that conviction and those values so that you can deliver chiropractic and not feel like you're on an island. Talk with and communicate with people who are going through the same challenges as you, and that who maybe are right now going through them or maybe have overcome them. Just like you were saying, I'd like to talk to you at a later date about these things that you've gone through, because there's value in hearing from somebody that's gone through them. Well, that's what the Berkshire experience is about. It's not flashy PowerPoints. Look, usually when I speak at the Berkshire experience, I don't use a PowerPoint. It's not about a flashy, amazing talk. And, I do some talks where it is about that. But this is not one of those times. It's about community, it's about connection, and it's about experience. This is why Scott changed the name to Berkshire Experience.
Excellent. And one thing that was recently at a social event. It was not a professional event, but it happened to have everybody there was an influential chiropractor celebrating somebody's birthday, and there was no business. It was all personal time for each one of us that were there, and just hanging around these people. Next morning, I call my buddy Eddie Diaz, and I tell him, Eddie, I am drinking a cup of coffee and writing notes like crazy. The get-together was on Sunday. No business was discussed. Just the energy surrounding these people was enough for me to go to bed, wake up on Monday morning with a notebook, and just the ideas were just flowing because of the energy of the people that I was surrounded with. And we didn't talk chiropractic business, chiropractic. It was all personal birthday time. And on an organized event like the Berkshire, where different ideas are going to be presented, different business models, philosophies, new angles on science, it can only be a positive thing for everybody's personal development and professional growth, without a doubt.
Absolutely. We just are coming back. It's funny. 12 hours ago, we were in Los Angeles, and anybody who's watching my Facebook feed, my Facebook posts, we were around some very influential people. And one of the things is that they were mostly non-chiropractors. And there's so much that we can learn, and look, frankly, I get beat up a little bit by the chiropractors, the purists, which, if I switch my camera around, I have a full collection of green books, originals, 1 through 39. Most of them I've read cover to cover. I am a chiropractic purist, but here's the thing. If we're going to get the message out, we need to begin to understand and begin to be able to find value and understand strategies that are working for other people, both inside and outside of our own profession. People, there's no one way to do anything. And anybody out there that's telling you this is the only way, I mean, I would run from that. I find value in learning how banks transact business. I had a post the other day that I was talking about how many transactions can you do, because outside of the chiropractic space, we see patient visits, but businesses are usually transacting, and so it's a transaction. And I got beat up really bad as you were like, they're people, they're not transactions. But even in a bank, the bank is counting transactions, and they're people. They're still people. Like, you go in the bank, they're counting those as transactions. It's a business construct, and we can learn from that. I wonder how many chiropractors have ever thought, what is the maximum number of transactions or patient visits that you can actually do with your current, number of chiropractors, with your current number of front desks, with the current infrastructure, number of tables? How many of people have contemplated how many parking spots they have and how many visits they can do given the number of parking spots they have? So many people are plateaued or unable to grow, and they don't realize that they have infrastructure limitations or human resource limitations. And they think that going and getting spizzed up at an event is going to fix it. But really, it's not that. They could see more people, but they just can't see it physically with what they're given. That's where we learn. And that's, that could come from a chiropractor or a non-chiropractor. Frankly, it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, we just want to see more people. We've got to touch more people. Our chiropractors don't realize we don't actually have enough chiropractors to see what we want to see in our vision. And they actually don't realize, even the successful ones don't realize that they themselves, they are a limiting factor. It's like, I've been doing a lot of this study, and maybe I'll talk about this at Berkshire's, but I've been talking a lot about the relationship between our chiropractic philosophy and business. And we talk about, one of the things is the 5 signs of life, right? So we have assimilation, we have discretion, we have adaptability, we have growth, and we have reproduction. Well, if I were to break that down in a business sense, I would wonder, how much information are you assimilating? Right? Assimilation is what you take in. Nutrition. Do you feed your business mind? Do you read books? Do you go to chiropractic events? Do you go to business events? So they're right away. Look, we were talking, Carlos and I we put on events, right? And it doesn't matter in what part of the world you are, people tend to wait until the last minute. That's crazy, because when we talk about, if you understood the signs of life and you understood that you want your business to be alive, you would have to feed it regularly. Nobody assimilates food at the last minute. Like, wait until you're about to die, then eat an apple. Like, that doesn't make sense. Next, though, also very important is discretion. Excretion. What are you excreting? That means that we don't keep and we don't hold on to everything that we assimilate. We assimilate, and then we excrete the things that are not of service to us. That means that we use discernment, and we are able to judge and know what works and what doesn't work for us. An apple might be great for Carlos. I might need an orange. If I eat an apple, my body might excrete that. Carlos's body might utilize that. The next is, I'm going to skip at adaptability for a second, but the next one is growth. Don't we all want our business to be growing, right? And then the 5th sign of life is reproduction. Well, that's what we began talking about. Right? If you like produces like. So 2 main points there that I develop usually. First of all, is we don't get out of life what we want. We get out of life who we are. Really interesting, because apple trees cannot look across the orchard to an orange tree and say, well, I wish I had oranges, because apple trees only reproduce apples because they are apple trees. What's interesting in life and in your business reproduces in life. You get out not what you want, but you get out what you are, right? Because like produces like. So scaling, you would want to create a business that's duplicatable, that's successful, that you replicate. That's reproduction. And then the 3rd sign of life is adaptability. And I wonder, and that's one chiropractors focus on a lot for our patients, but what about your business? Like, how adaptable is your business? And if you live in this world where you don't go to seminars because you're afraid of being exposed to new information, you're afraid of implementing things, you are not adaptable. And you know that bodies that are not adaptable enter into a state of dis-ease. businesses that are not adaptable eventually go bankrupt, right? They enter into a state of dis-ease. How many of you have a business that, I mean, be honest with yourself that right now you look at your business and you're like, my business is in a state of dis-ease. My business as I close the year out is not at ease. And I'm telling you, the number one thing that you need to do for your business is to make it adaptable. Like, you've got to be adaptable, and you've got to be open to new ideas, right? You've got to be open to new ways of thinking, because if you're not, frankly, you're not adaptable. And I'm telling you, you're going to be gone. Your business will be gone in short term. I mean, look, you were just telling me you've been in practice for 20 plus years, right?
Yes.
Your practice today looks nothing like what it looked like when you opened it, because you're adaptable. And I can make that statement. I didn't even have to know anything about the practice. I know it to be a fact, because that's the only way that it works. Your body today is nothing like your body 20 years ago, because your body has adapted. That's why you're around. And if your business is around, we can say 100% that you're adaptable. So, looking at these elements and applying our philosophy into all areas. And so back to that, the last thing is, we talk about limitations of matter. Well, you have limitations in your business, physical limitations based off the human resource, the physical plant, et cetera, et cetera. And so your business will be adaptable up to the limitations of matter, or up to the limitations, the physical limitations of your business. And so you need to be aware of those things. And if you're not aware of those things, well, then you're just, you're sitting on a ticking time bomb. You're just lucky. You're just successful by accident. This conversation that we want to have in Berkshire's is about exposing you to new information, new ideas that you may not actually put into place in your business, but it's opening up your mind to potential and possibility so that you can be adaptable.
Oh, powerful. Powerful. Thank you so much. Now I don't need to go to seminar.
Oh, there's plenty more where that came from, Carlos.
Of course, I'm kidding. Two deep thoughts came to my mind as I was listening to you. And you were mentioning about bankruptcy or not adapting and not being in business anymore. But sadly, there are a lot of business that oftentimes we think of bankrupt as closing shop and not being around anymore. There's thousands of chiropractic practices that are open for business and bankrupt at the same time. Not meeting ends meet and always trying to be able to pay payroll and pay rent and feed the kids and send them to school. So bankrupt is not closing shop, but you can be in business and you can actually be busy in business and be bankrupt at the same time. And another thing that I was listening to Lee and Shul the other day on, the more you know, the more you need to go to these events, because then you need to pick the nuggets of knowledge. Maybe while you're listening for 2 or 3 days in this event, 90% of it you've heard before, and all of a sudden that 1 or 2% that is new rings to you that day, and that literally can transform your business, your life, your technique, your philosophy. So you just have to be present, regardless of what level of knowledge and experience you are. This is the event to be to and to be at and learn from.
Yeah, I don't know where we are at on time. I just released on my Facebook page a short video with some observations about stacking rocks. And my good friend Andrew Norman was actually who introduced me to the concept. He was talking about how in a lot of jails and a lot of prisons, probably not today, but they would make the inmates go out and they would just move these rocks, right, from one pile to the next. And so they move them from here and they would stack them all up over there. And then tomorrow they would come out and they would move them from here and stack them up over here. Every day. Wow. They just stack these rocks. Well, that's not any different in reality than building the Taj Mahal. When the Taj Mahal or the Great Pyramids in Egypt were built, they were stacking rocks, but they were doing them with intention. Mm-hmm. And, when you talk about a practice that's open, but it's bankrupt, I think about people every day. And, that's one of the saddest things for me is and it's really sad. It makes me sad to see it in life, but it makes me more sad to see it in chiropractic, when there's people that are just waking up, they wake, and maybe, people that are watching this today, if you were really honest, maybe you woke up today and you didn't really go to practice. You didn't go to work with a real purpose or intention, and everybody came in and you were just stacking rocks. You were just punching backbones. You were just cracking backs. And it wasn't like, you've lost that intention. You're no longer building the Taj Mahal. In order to build the Taj Mahal, yes, you still have to stack rocks. You still have to check and adjust people, but you need a plan. You need blueprints, and everybody plays their role in building something. And at the end of the project, you look back at the Taj Mahal and you played a part in, you did the trim, or you did the windows, or you did the entryway, or you laid the tile, or you did the paint. But everybody had their role, but you weren't just painting for painting's sake. You weren't laying tile for laying tile's sake. You were building something. You were a part of a massive project. You were making a masterpiece that's now known as the Taj Mahal, and everybody played their role. And I wonder how many people that are watching us right now, or maybe on the replay, they wake up and they don't really understand what their role was, what the bigness of what it is that they're doing is. And that's why the Berkshire's experience, and look, I think part of the thing is people like, oh, come to my seminar. I've always thought, for me, like, I don't want everybody to come to my seminar. I've never wanted everybody to come to my office even. I just want the people to come to my office who are looking for a solution. I want the people who realize, who even just maybe entertain that idea that maybe I am stacking rocks. I would love for you to come to Berkshire's, because we would love to get you on the team. You might be a great chiropractor, a great adjuster, and you've just lost your purpose. You don't see the big picture of why you're doing it. Well, Berkshire's experience will help you to see, that we're building something beautiful. We're building a Taj Mahal, and, from the Liam Schubels and the Danny Knowles and the Scott Garbers and everybody that's involved in this, yourself, you doing these interviews to benefit, the event, and Scott, that's everybody playing their part, and we're making something beautiful. But someone right now is probably watching this and thinking like, well, I'm not them. I'm not a big name like that. But you see, you still have a very important role to play.
Of course.
We discover that at Berkshire's experience.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It's something tells me we've already spoken about what you're gonna be presenting on the Berkshire, or not? Is there?
I don't think so. I think that, okay. I mean, and I'm not going to let Innate speak to me, because first of all, philosophically, that it's not correct. Innate doesn't download PowerPoint presentations or talks into us. Innate has other jobs. But I'm going to be prepared, but most likely, because it's Berkshire's, I don't do a lot of chiropractic events anymore. And I'm very, very passionate about chiropractic philosophy. So I would imagine it will be some application of looking at this is what I've been really involved in, is looking at our chiropractic philosophy and applying it into the business realm to understand marketing, sales, mindset, and to be able to produce success in your business. So something along those lines.
Excellent. We have today, there is a chiropractic school in Puerto Rico. I don't know if you're aware of that. The Central University of Bayamón, UCC, Universidad Central de Bayamón, has a chiropractic school. They are going into their second semester. So there's the first class just finished their second semester. There's a second class finishing their first semester. And some of those students are actually going to be at the Berkshires. It was drawn as a raffle, but it's actually a scholarship that we did for Puerto Rican chiropractic students. And some of the students that won were from the United States schools. Some of the students that won were from the Puerto Rico schools, and some of the students that did not win wrote asking for information on how to register for the event. So we are really excited to have some of the students from the UCC school present at the event. This is a unique event for us in Puerto Rico. And every time I say this, I have to make the disclaimer. The Puerto Rico Chiropractic Association does a congress every 2 years. That is an excellent event for CE credits, science, philosophy, art, communication, business. It really is something for all Puerto Ricans to be proud of. The event that they do, and their local association does an excellent job at it. Berkshire is just a little different. The level of the presenters that are coming in, the focus of the event, it is something that that we are very lucky to have in Puerto Rico this time around, so close, so inexpensive to attend in our own home. And a good group of us are very happy to welcome you. I'm very happy to have this kind of event in the island. Thank you for taking up your time, not only for the interview, for coming to Puerto Rico and to support the Berkshire that is going to be held here.
The disclaimer is interesting. So does that mean that some people are confused about the event?
Not at all. Not at all. Before I raise the Berkshire, I don't want to take credit away from the local association because they do a fantastic job with their event.
Yeah.
No.
You were at a birthday party, because you support one person and their birthday. That doesn't mean you can't go to someone else's birthday party, right?
Of course. No. I believe all parts involved are clear on that. No doubt about that. Well, Shawn, thank you so much for the event. I'm certainly looking forward to meeting you personally in Puerto Rico and spending some quality time at the beautiful property of Intercontinental. I have to add, I always remind everybody, Intercontinental is literally 5 minutes from the airport. No traffic, 5 minutes. If there's traffic, 15, which is not a 15-minute drive is never a bad drive. And unless you're going to go pay taxes. And the hotel is right on the beach. The Isla Verde beach is one of the largest and most beautiful beaches in Puerto Rico. And wow, best time of the year to come, February, no doubt.
Love it.
My friend, thank you again for saying yes to the invitation, and good luck in business, continued success, and we'll see you in Puerto Rico in February.
We'll see you at Berkshire Experience, Carlos.
Thank you.